Thank you.
All righty, I think we can go ahead and get started. Just conserve everybody's time. I'll go ahead and record this just in case anybody wants to review it beyond this meeting. And obviously, we're excited. It's been kind of an ongoing conversation with Angelo and the team, and excited to get these apps in front of you again. I know there was another one we were looking to sort of review today. I believe it was iRounds, Angelo. So we'll touch base on all these applications again. And like I said, if there's any questions or anything that arise, we're happy to answer those. I'm excited to get Colin on with us again to review the ins and outs of these applications, and know these are going to be super advantageous across the board for you guys. So really excited, like I said, to continue the conversation. And like I said, if there's anything you guys have had that's been kind of on the top of your mind in terms of questions for us, we're happy to answer those. And these applications have been very successful in our facilities. Our co-founder owns a number of facilities here in Southern California as well. So these are all kind of the result of some pain points within the system, our day-to-day operations, and Colin and his team have done a fantastic job developing some really simple solutions for us. So I'm excited to jump in. Like I said, if there's any questions, anything that arise, we're happy to answer those for you. And we'll let Colin kind of run through the application suite here, just get you some more eyes on it. And if there's anything that pops up, just let us know.
Okay, awesome. I'll knock through these, and as I do, if you guys have any questions, just interrupt me, okay? Because I'll just keep yapping away, and I don't want to miss your questions. But just feel free to interrupt me. If you want me to kind of double click and dig a little deeper on something, I'm happy to do that as well. But I will start with our scan app. At a real high level, our scan app is built around getting documentation, paper documentation, eFax, kind of anything into PointClickCare into the miscellaneous documents tab in PCC. Prior to this, what most people do, and I'm assuming you guys are doing the same. I mean, everybody is technically, but if you have a piece of paper, you take that piece of paper, you walk it over to a scanner, a copier, you print it, or I'm sorry, you scan it, comes to like your email or a shared drive. And then from there, you go in, you save it, you log into PCC, you find the resident, go into miscellaneous documents, and then you have to go through the whole upload process, which is not horrible. But if you're doing a lot of documentation, it's just slow. And what we did is that was a pain point in one of the buildings, years and years ago. And so we sat in there with medical records for quite a long time and just really learned the process. And we came up with our app we call Scan to PCC. And what it does, and I'll log in and show you, what it does is you'll scan from your scanners. It works with all copiers, all scanners. It sends directly into our app. And then from our app, you just say this document goes to this resident, this one goes to this one, and you can go through them really, really fast. Couple things about our apps before I start, before I get too deep. They're all web-based. Okay, so there's nothing you need to install for any of them. They are connected to the PointClickCare network. We're a marketplace vendor, so we go through all their compliance. But the better part is because we have that connection with them, everything we need to know, we get from PCC. So what I mean is, let's say you get a new admission, you have a discharge, whatever, we grab that information from PCC automatically. So you don't have to keep our systems updated. They'll update automatically. Makes it a lot faster than having to go in and keep it updating. Um, like I said, it is web-based. We do everything the same way PCC does. We lock it down to your facility IP address, so you can't do it remote or you can't do it outside the building. We do offer remote access. There is just like PCC, you can give a user remote access. We don't usually tell everybody that at a user level, but you guys, as your team definitely might want to use that from time to time. We do have two-form authentication, same thing that PCC is pushing now as they tighten down their security there as well. So I'll actually log in here. And it's going to text me a code. I use that. So we can use authentication apps. It can text you a code. There's all kinds of ways to do it. I'm going to get rid of this little guy. And then when I log in, this is what I'm getting. Gosh, this thing keeps popping up here. when I log in, this is what I'm going to see. And a couple things just in here. So copiers are the big way you get documents into our system. Another way you can get documents in is through eFax. And I'm going to just explain this one real fast. We're a little different than most people. We don't sell eFax numbers. We want you guys to own the eFax number. We want it to be in your name. What we do is we will connect to any HIPAA compliant eFax company. So let's say you're with RingCentral or Docomo or one of the big carriers or whoever. We'll actually connect to that. And you can have, when you receive a fax, it come right into our app. And then you don't even have to scan it. And I'll show you, we'll do a couple of them. But the cool part about that is, if you have a bunch of eFax numbers and you want to switch your vendor or something, you can do that and it doesn't affect our system at all. And then the other part that's really nice about that is you can send out faxes from in here as well. So, and we'll do a couple demos, but those kind of things make it really unique. Sometimes in the large organizations, we might have, oh, this building has this eFax company, this one has this one, and it kind of becomes this group of eFax vendors. So our system will work with all of them. As long as they are HIPAA compliant, it'll work with them. And then the third way is you can drag and drop documents. So let's say someone emails you a PDF, something like that. You can just drag a document, and I'm going to grab one right here. I'm going to start with this. I can grab them and I can drop them right here into this top right corner, and it's going to upload those documents, and then you'll see them in here within a couple seconds here. Now, it has all the security in it. So you'll see right here where it says like eFax. I know that's an eFax. Manual upload is when I drag and drop things. If I scan something from a copier, it would say copier. So you can tell which document or where it came from. And then you can also set security on that. So let's say David and I work in the same med rec department or whatever, and I have eFax set up and I don't want him seeing my eFaxes. I can just pick his user and say, you don't get to see anything that comes in from this eFax. And it kind of gives you some security settings that you can do that make it really unique. And at the very end of this, for scan two, I'll walk through some of the custom things people have done that make it really flexible. But for now, that's what this folder is, or this column is here. It shows you where the documents came from. So I can drag and drop. If I get a fax, it's going to come directly in here just like this. And then if I use a copier, it's going to show up in here just like these, but it would say copier. And all I do is I go in here and I click the document. When I do that, it's going to take me to this page. I'm going to see a picture of the document here. This is a real simple one pager. So in this example, this goes into one residence chart. Over here to the right, I need to pick my resident. Let's start here. This first one is your effective date. So you can change this if you want. Let's say it was yesterday. The next thing, just pick my residence. I can scroll down, I can find them, I can search for them, I can search first name, last name, obviously, last name, comma, first name, D for discharge, A would be if you have an active, and then you get an N in there if you're using your pre-admission. So waiting list, CRM, anything like that would have an N status. And then that last number obviously is our resident ID. And I can search by any of those things. So if I want to search by resident ID, I can do that as well. These are the categories in PCC currently. When you go into miscellaneous documents, all your category types, that's what this list is. And so if you add one to PCC, you remove one, you edit one, it's going to update the system within a couple of minutes and they'll show them in here. So let's say that the progress note, I can just start typing that. And then the very last thing here is what you want to name the document when it gets to the chart. By default, our system is going to put the category name in there, and then I can just add to it if I want, making it a little more custom in there. And then I just hit one of these two green buttons, right? The first one says upload in homepage will take me back to my homepage, which has the list of all my documents. This one here will upload the document to PCC, and then it'll just load up the very next document. So if I'm trying to go real fast through them, I would hit that button. I'm going to do this one. So I'm going to hit upload in homepage, and it's going to take me back to here. And that document will be queued up. It will be in the residence chart within 60 seconds. I want to show you what it looks like kind of in real time though. So I come in here, here's my document. I go down, I find my resident, I can scroll down, I can find my category. If I want to change something, I can, and then I hit upload. And that's all I have to do. That document will be in the chart within 60 seconds. Any questions on that? I'm going to do a couple more, but just want to make sure we all got that at a real high level. Okay. That works great if you're doing one document to one chart. But here's an example of another one. So I have a 24-page document, tells me right there. Let's say I don't know, 12 of the pages go to one resident, 12 go to another, or maybe it's the same resident, maybe it's just different categories. Pretty common for a new admission, the hospital faxes over 50 pages of all their documentation and you have to break up that PDF. Maybe it's the same resident, but you break it up into different sections. Well, instead of using this right here, I'm going to go up here to the top and hit the scissor. And in the scissor, I can zoom in a little bit here. I can break this document into a ton of different sections here. So let's say I'm going to go like this. I always write test on them just so you can see that I can customize the name. And I'm going to say pages 1 through 6 go there. And if it's a different resident, I can pick a different resident. I can pick a different category and say pages 7 through 9 go there. And I can just keep breaking this one document up, different resident. I can do all of this. I'm gonna say 10 of 24. I can break this document up into a ton of different sections. I don't have to use different residents. I can be the same resident. Let's say this is all Karina Bailey right here. Let's say it's all the same resident, but maybe just different categories, right? I could do that as well. Whatever I put in here, the system is going to just take that PDF and break it into whatever's in here. I can overlap pages. So if you want to do something like that, maybe you don't want to use page 1 because it was a fax that came in, you just want to start on page 2, I can do that. And when I hit split, it takes that one PDF, breaks it into all of those pieces, and then sends that into the chart in PCC. So I'm going to do it again. Here's what it looks like without just kind of a real-time example. So I'm going to come in here. I'm going to hit the scissor tool, pick my resident, pick my category, pages 1 through 6 go there, pick a different one, right? I'm going to pick a different category. Oops, 7 through 12, split. That one PDF got broken into 2 pieces and then boom, those 2 went into PCC. Couple other things the system will do automatically. I'm going to just load up another document here. Let's say, and it's a pretty bad example because right here it tells me the size of the PDF. It's a pretty bad example because that's a very small PDF, but let's say that document is 40 megabytes and the maximum you can send to PCC, and it's different for each customer, but it's usually between 5 and 20 megabytes. Let's say your maximum is 20 megabytes. Well, it's going to have to break that up into 2 pieces, right? If you're doing it the manual way, when you go and you upload it to PCC, at the very last step, it's going to say, hey, Colin, your PDF's too big, break it into pieces. And you got to do the whole darn thing all over again. But what our system will do is it's just going to accept that PDF. And then when it makes it to the chart, it's going to do this. Oops, it's going to spell it right though. It's going to do something like that, where it's going to say activity part 1 of 2 and 2 of 2, and it automatically breaks that PDF into as many sections as it needs to meet your PDF requirements for PCC. Everybody will ask me and they say, well, what's the limit? There's no limit. The most I've ever seen was 68. So someone had a giant PDF that came in. A lot of times people are doing paper charting today and they use our app and they just scan like, 500 pages or something crazy, and our system will then break it up. So it was like 1 of 68 that it broke into pieces. So there's no limit to the size. But just know it'll do it automatically. When you see it in the chart, it's going to look like that. Couple other things it'll do: if there's a blank page, completely blank, it'll remove the blank page. You can rotate it, all the kind of fun stuff in here. If you need to download it, you can do that as well. Right here, there's a delete page because this is a single page document that disappears. But if there's a 2-page document and you want to get rid of, let's say it's a fax and you want to get rid of the cover page, you can hit that right here. What I typically do with the fax is like, here's a fax that came in. So I have one cover page, right? Page 1 is this and page 2 is this. I usually just use the scissor tool and I go here and I pick my resident, I pick my category, and I say page 2 of 2. And then it just breaks the page off. But you can do it either way. There was the delete there as well. Any questions on how it uploads documents in there? Okay. Couple things in here. Under residents, you're going to see a list of everything you've ever scanned. Okay, so we keep a log of everything that was scanned. We don't keep the PDF. The way our system works is when you upload a document and you hit, send it to PCC, it's going to go into that chart within 60 seconds. As long as PCC is online, there's no problems. It'll be in that chart. If for some reason there's an outage, let's say they're doing maintenance, we have customers using it 24/7. So, sometimes Saturday at 2 a.m., they're doing some maintenance, whatever it may be, our system will just keep trying to send that PDF. Boom, it'll just keep going. And when it finally makes it to there, it'll delete it from our system. So within a couple of minutes of us sending that document to PCC, we will delete that PDF from our system. So it's just in that chart, but we will keep a log of it forever. It'll stay in here forever. If I go into a resident here, I can see everything that was ever uploaded, who did it, when they did it, which person did it, what the category was. But this PDF is not clickable because that's in PCC. So these will stay forever. eFax. Oh, you know what? Let me show you how to send one real fast. I went too fast in there. Let's say this PDF here, let's say I want to fax this out to the doctor's office and then put it in the chart. Well, I'm in here looking at it. I can click this eFax tab. I'm going to put in that top number is my number. I'm going to just fax it to myself. So you'll see one come in as well, but you would put it in here. Now, in the live version, there's a box right here and it's got your address book. The demo version doesn't have that, but you have an address book you can save numbers in, which is really nice. I can hit my cover page. You can save as many as you want in there. Your notes, whatever you want. This is all the stuff that's going to be on that fax cover page. Now, because we're connected to your company, your eFax company now, a lot of times people don't want a confirmation page because their eFax is already set up to send them one. But if it's not, you can say, hey, send me an email if it's successful or if there's an error, or just send me it when it's done, right? And then I can either send eFax and delete the document or send eFax and send to PCC, which I want to do. So I hit that. That document is getting queued up to go to get sent out. Then I could pick my resident, go down, pick my category, upload in homepage. Now, so just in those couple clicks, I have a fax that went out, and then I have a document that's on its way to the chart as well. This tab up here will show you all of your faxes. So again, we do work with your existing system. So this isn't replacing whatever you're using now. A lot of times people use, they're familiar with the way theirs works now, and that's great. This will work just the exact same. It doesn't replace it. So here's all the faxes I've sent. I can see the status. This is the one I just did. It'll start sending in a couple seconds, and you can see the log in there. This corporate tab for multiple locations, you can give this to certain individuals. Let's say you want to give a certain couple individuals access to this. This is where you could see all your buildings, who's using it, how much they're using it, how often they're uploading, how many documents they're doing, how much they've total done, which categories, all kinds of analytics on here. This is also where you would go in and do a lot of the setup for it. So if you go in here, you're going to see a little more activity in there, who's using it, who's in it right now, documents that are being uploaded. This is where you would add users. We also lock it down to your facility IP. So this is where you can put your IP address. There's information in here. If you're having trouble logging in, it tells you, hey, their password's wrong or whatever, so you can help them out. We also do dynamic IP address, kind of more on the IT side, but if you're instead of a static address, sometimes people use names to make it because their addresses change all the time. You can just put that in there as well. All of this is under corporate. You can also add users and see which details they have. So you can go in here and let's say you want to look at someone's account and you want to give them access to multiple buildings. Well, as you saw in here, just like PCC, I can change my building around. So let's say I'm working at one building today and I'm going to move at another later. I can go in here and just change my building, and that's all handled right here by giving me access to other buildings. Okay, so you can put that all in there super easy. Under settings, couple of quick things in here, pretty simple stuff, right? Change your password, change your name. Couple things that really stand out is the training videos. The beauty of the app is that it's very, very simple because it's supposed to be super fast. Our heart is that everything we build gives you time back to take care of your residents and less work on the computer. And so everything we do is very specific and very time saving focused. So let's say you're using it, 4 months go by, you have a new med rec, maybe they're an assistant, maybe whichever. You can go in here, create a user. You can train them yourself. You can have them come in, you can have them watch the training videos, or you can hit this schedule free training. They click that button, it opens up a calendar, they pick a date, they pick a time. Training is always free. They'll get one-on-one training. We'll have one of our people here walk them through how to use the app. It's all remote. They'll get them in there, they'll make sure it's working, but it's always free and they can click and schedule it themselves. Another feature I like to highlight in here is the data retention. The app is built to be not a long-term storage app. And so what I mean is, let's say you scan a bunch of documents, they're meant to go into PCC that day. And so we have what's called data retention. And what it does is, early on, we had an instance where, let's say your medical records was, they were doing great, they were scanning stuff, they were doing it every single day. And then that medical records person left. Maybe they went on leave, maybe they just left, and there was a couple documents in their dashboard they forgot to upload before they left. Well, you can set this up so maybe it's a week or whatever. And what will happen is after that time passes, so in this example, if I had a week, on day 8 of that document being scanned, it's going to start emailing people. Hey, we noticed you have a document in there that needs to be uploaded. It'll do it for 7 days. And then on the, what'll be the 15th day, our system says it's going to delete the document. Just know we never will delete it. We'll actually have one of our employees here call the building and just make sure everything's okay. Because the last thing we want is a document to get stuck in there. We want it in the chart right away. I always bring that up because this line that says will be permanently deleted. Um, you guys will probably agree with this, but a lot of times, like you have to put that in there. It kind of helps push the team, the buildings a little bit to get that document uploaded. We never delete. I always just want to tell everybody that, but we will actually call and help them if they're having trouble in there as well. And then you can also go into residence and see how long you want to show your discharges. And everybody has a different strategy on this. So in this example, I have 96 months worth of discharges, meaning 96 months after my discharge date, I'm still going to be able to be uploaded into. On the 97th month, my name just falls off the list. Some companies go down to like 1 month because they find that it, gets people to push the documents faster. Some people leave it at 96. It's really up to you. We can set all those settings up globally, and then you can individualize them if you want as well. And then under support, just standard support, right? It's really great. You can open tickets, but one thing that we do a little different, support to us is very important. And so we have a chat right here. So Pacific time zone, 8 to 5, you can go in here and I can chat in real time with somebody if I need some help. They can type in there, one of our team will respond right away, get them whatever help they need. Couple quick things though from a corporate level. When you onboard, there's questions we'll ask you, like if somebody opens up the chat and needs a password reset, do you want us to help them or do you want us to forward it to your IT department? Do you want us to set up accounts if a building administrator does it, or do you want me to forward it to IT? So we'll ask you a couple of things. And then this page is dynamic and it'll change based on your answers to that. So if you don't want us helping, the chat disappears and you can do things like that as well. Also, we can redirect it. So let's say you have a fantastic IT. I know Stan is awesome. And just like you have a great department there and you want them to do it, we'll just put a little banner there that says, hey, for help, do this. But we can make it customized however we can support you best. And then also, if you're having trouble logging in, on the login page is the chat as well. So pretty easy to get a hold of. Any questions on that one? I'll do a couple more little quick things on it, but any questions at a high level?
Just inbound faxes, are they coming into, in other words, if I were to be sending it to it, would I send to a number or an email address?
I think
I guess how do you make it standardized so that it works with everybody? Do you have us set up the eFax so that it forwards it to an email, or does it forward to, in other words, how does it get into this system if it's coming to an eFax number?
what we do, the easiest way nowadays that we do e-faxing is a lot of, in fact, 99% of these e-fax companies that are HIPAA compliant or better companies, they're bigger, they're a little more invested, and we'll spin up an API real fast. That way we connect via API to your system. And the reason we do that is because let's say you have a fax where, and this happens often, but let's say you have a fax number and it goes to your admissions for all new referrals, and it also comes into our app. We don't want to mess up your whatever system you already have with your eFax. We just want to come alongside and be one of the destinations for your fax. So we'll turn on an API. Most likely we already have it with your vendor that you're using. And if we don't, we will build it for free just so we can make it work that way. So you don't have to configure anything different. We'll set that up when someone faxes you. It either comes just into our system or however you're doing it now, maybe Maybe you have it going to an email now that's like a distribution group and you want to keep that and also have it come into here, we can make it do that as well. So it's all done via API.
Okay.
And same with your sending as well. It just makes it a lot easier. A lot of times, you know, with the admissions, like the last thing you want to do is mess up a referral. So we keep it very, very strict and clean like that. I typically tell people don't, you know, if it's an admission one for referrals, I usually don't run them through here because they're not going to be uploaded into the chart, but we can walk through it. We use all the big vendors. Happy to talk through it with you and kind of help you design them. I mean, been doing it forever, so happy to figure
Okay.
that out with you.
Thank you.
Great question. Yeah. And then sending's the same. So what's neat about it, you're not going to get a charge from us, whatever pricing you have from your vendor, that just gets passed through to them and you'll see it on there, not from our system at all. One other thing you might have noticed in here is this tab that says HRIS. This is something we're testing now. We're building it out, but we're testing it in a couple buildings where just as I'm able to upload into a residence chart in PointClickCare, you're going to be able to upload into an employee file in your payroll system. So let's say you're using Kronos, ADP, UKG, something like that. You could have your payroll department use this app as well, and they can upload, let's say a nurse comes in, here's my certificate, and you want to put that in their employee file, they can do it just like this as well. More information on that will be coming out as they turn them up. Right now we're in Kronos, they're building out UKG and they'll just start pushing those out and you'll see them as well. You don't have to use it, but you'll get more information on it as well. That's what the HRIS tab is. Any questions on scan to PCC? Okay. One other thing I
Yes,
like to.
I'm sorry.
Oh,
I had to unmute myself. I have a quick question, and I apologize if you had already covered this. I had to step away for an important phone call. My question is, if a large file is scanned into Scan PCC, like let's say it's a couple hundred pages, and it is and pre-hospital records from an admission we took. Is there the ability to break out those records once they've been scanned, or do they have to be broken out prior to scanning? So if I wanted to label some of the documents as labs, some as H&P, or what have you, do I have the ability to break it out once it's scanned?
Yeah, fantastic question. You can. So here's an example. I have a 12-page document here. Let's pretend this is whatever. I mean, it's greater than one page, right? And let's say, hey, this is whether it's all the same resident and you want to break it up into different categories, or you just want to separate it. You know, sometimes it's 10 progress notes and you want them separated in there. However you want to do it. It can be same resident, can be different ones. Instead of using this menu here, I go up to this scissor tool up top here. I'll zoom in. And what it does is it allows you to take this one PDF. I can scroll down, right? I can see the pages. Oh, okay, page 4. So I'm going to go Karina Bailey. This is her activities, pages 1 through 3. But on page 4, it's actually a different resident, or maybe it's the same resident, but a different category.
Oh, this is fabulous. Okay,
Yeah,
I've seen enough. That's good. You can go
That's
back
a great
to
question.
Thank you.
And you can break it into as many as you want. You can overlap pages. It can be different. Whatever I put in this window, it's going to do. I know I've seen it where people overlap it because they want to get one document into a bunch of charts. So you can do it that way as well. Whatever you put in
Can
here.
we hard code document names into a Dropbox, or do you have them already there? And I'm sorry, again, if I'm asking questions you already covered, I'm sorry, I had to step away.
No, it's quite all right. Explain the question one more time.
So where it says document type and document name, are we able to hard code those options?
They're going to
So
pull. They're going to pull. Document type's going to pull from whatever we put in as the categories in PCC.
Okay, that's my
So
question.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Yeah.
The
So
document name is going to adopt, the first part of it is going to adopt whatever that is, and then you can append it with a date or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So like your residents will come in here automatically. When you admit them, they'll be in here within a minute. So let's say this is Karina Bailey. This is a discharge. You'll see the D, but let's pretend that's an active. And then just as Dan was saying, activity is the name of the category. We're going to name the PDF that, but you can also go in here and just add to that as well.
Okay.
What's really nice about that is, you know, example would be a lot of people prior to using our app, they used to have a category for consent, and then they would have all these categories for their consents. Well, now they make a category with the full name, and I don't have to even name the file. I just hit that and it's gone, and it's broken out by that specific category.
Yeah,
So it
that's
makes it a lot
really
easier.
cool.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions? Awesome. Okay. Couple other just quick things that you can do in here. I like to always end on just some of the customizations. Because you can change buildings, you don't have to be at a building to do your uploading. I have customers who have, I got one that's my favorite. They're like a really small sniff company, not just small in size, but small buildings. They have 30 bed sniffs throughout the U.S. And they have a med rec that would kind of go around the buildings once a week. They go this building one day, this building, and then what they would do is they'd upload the days they were there. Well, now what they do is they have the receptionist scan, and wherever that person happens to be, they just go in here and upload it by changing the building. So you don't have to be at a building to upload. You can have anybody do the scanning part. I have some buildings where they, whoever admissions is scanning, reception scanning, rehab scanning, and then medical records will just do the uploading part. You can do however you want. We have one customer who they scan everything at their building, and then they have a team in the Philippines who does the uploading part. So you don't even have to be in the same country. You could do it from wherever. So super, super flexible, which is great for, you have a med rec, they're doing awesome. They go on leave. You can cover for them really, really easy in here as well. And then if you have a big building, it's nice to have extra hands. You don't have to physically be there. They can help out as well. So that's super, super flexible in there. Okay, any questions on scan two? I'm going to just jump to the next ones. Okay. Stan, this is the UAP. Did you want to walk through this one, or did you want to do this offline? Or how did you want to talk to the UAP? Maybe I'll come back to that one.
Sorry.
Oop.
Yes, I would like to see it. I didn't realize I was muted.
No problem. Okay, so a UAP is user access provisioning. So what that means is I'm going to be able to connect to, let me just log in because I will forget what I'm doing and I'll get sidetracked here. You can use any source of data to create accounts. And what I mean is prior to a UAP, let's say you have a nurse that comes in and it's Monday and they're a new hire. Typically, you're going to open up a ticket. So where this came from is I was a CIO of a really large healthcare company, skilled healthcare. We had over 100 buildings. We were large. And when you had a new hire, you would open up a ticket with IT. The IT wasn't great. It was on me, but it wasn't that great. It would take several days sometimes to get that PCC account, which is not great because that nurse is there day one, ready to chart. And so we've created a UAP. A UAP will create the account automatically based on something. So in this example, you can have it as soon as they put them in the payroll system. We'll grab that data from payroll and it'll create the PCC account. We can grab it from any source. Sometimes it's your payroll, sometimes it's your Active Directory. It can be anything like that, but it'll make that account on the fly. Now, that's a pretty standard UAP thing, right? There's probably 7, 8, 9 decent UAPs out there. What makes ours different is how we use it. So you have so creating the accounts, piece of cake. You put them in your Chronos, it creates that account within a couple of minutes of them being in there. It'll shoot out an email to the building. Hey, here's your new account for nurse, Jane Doe, and then it creates that account and it gives you username and password. Everything is ready to go. If someone needs to reset their password, and I'll show you when we go in, there's actually just a place they walk up to and they can reset their password on their own. They don't need to go in and, call help desk or do any of those things. You can do it automatically from there. The other things that it does is registry. So if you guys are using contract nursing or registry, you can actually have them walk up to a kiosk or computer, fill out some information, and it'll create that account right there for them. So if you have a nurse that comes in Friday at 1 in the morning, they can have a PCC account within a minute of them creating this. And I'll show you, we'll knock through them real fast. But that's what's different about our UAP. And then the other part is it's totally customizable. One of the things that was really hard for me years ago was there's several UAPs, but everybody does it one way, and then I have to transform my business to match how theirs works. Ours is different. We're going to sit down, you're going to say, this is what I want it to do, and then we make it do that for you. So some people, let's say for disabled, it's a good one. When you term someone in your payroll system, some people want it to term right away, that PCC account. Some people wanted to do it at the end of the day. Some people wanted to do a couple days later because they pre-term them. And it really just depends on how you run your business. And we set up the system with those rule sets automatically. So this just runs in the background. We're getting data from whatever source. Typically, it's your payroll, Kronos, whatever. And it's creating all this. And this interface we're seeing, you really don't use too much because it does it automatically, but you can log in anytime. See, oh, there's a bunch of password resets for today. These are disabled. So today, disable is 14th. Yeah, disable this account today based on it being termed in payroll. If it's creating new users, right? So here's a payroll, came from the payroll file. If you're doing updates, so I was a CNA, now I'm a DON or however, along that chain. That's a big jump, but it would update your PCC account with the correct job codes that it needs to, for that new job position that you have. And the setup is super easy. So I would just go in here, I pick the job code, and then this is going to show you all of the things that PCC needs. What do you want it to be called? Do you want to give them remote access? Which positions do you want to give this job code? And which buildings do you give them access to? And so you can have this system automatically create these, for any job code you have, and it can do all kinds of custom things. So I always say like the CNAs are pretty simple at 99% of your buildings, but maybe you have one building where the CNA also gets, this activity role as well. You can set up our system where when CNA comes in from that building, it adds that other role as well. That was a big one for me because sometimes you have that where they're wearing multiple hats, and maybe not the best example of the CNA activities, but you get the idea. Sometimes, your DSD might have a second hat they're wearing and they need that other role. So you can do stuff like that as well. And it's unique to each building and job code. Let me show you real fast this. And this is going to be some of the stuff that really, I think this is right. This is all our test system. So bear with me while I go through the, okay, here we go. Let's say this is your registry. I'm going to show you that. So this is built, it's web-based. It's built to be on like a wall-mounted kiosk or a computer. And let's say I'm a nurse and I'm coming in and I am a contract nurse. I'm just here for the night and I need a PCC account because I don't want to have them charting on paper and then trying to get that in the chart. Well, you can go in and you can set it up with a password. A lot of times people do that just so that not just anybody can walk up and create a PCC account. So you have a password in there. But I go in and I fill this out and I'm going to put my name in here. I can pick which company I'm from, which role I am, and you can lock it down to certain job codes. Obviously, you're not going to create, a DON role from a registry orientation. It might be CNAs and kind of your ones that are high used, for those. I put in my cell phone number and I put in my email, and I'm going to show you why. And you can ask any questions you want, race, ethnicity. In California, they're pushing that a lot. So, you can do this. Yeah.
That license certification number, does it cross-check with a board, or anybody can select a job role and then enter their own like a makeup like certification number?
Yeah, there's no qualifications in the system, so it can't check it. If there's something you're using, I had someone ask me that the other day where they use a background check system, and that one had the ability for us to check that using their APIs. We're still working on that. But normally, no. If you're using a background company, let me know which one, and I can find out what they offered. Or if you're using another service, you can do that as
You've
well.
never connected it up to like the state licensing board.
They don't allow us to right now through
Oh.
this. I have seen it, and I have seen it on the plans to be coming, but it's not as quick to go as
So,
some of the.
Colin, so anybody can select a job role, enter a certificate or license number, enter their own phone number, and get a username and access username, user access for, let's say, an RN, where in fact they are there for a CNA job?
You can do a couple things. What I always tell people to do is the vast majority of your registries are going to be your CNAs, right, and your LVNs. I usually tell them to lock it down to those. Just put those job codes and that's it, right? You don't want to put anything else in there. And so you can do that. But the cool part is let's say I hit register in here. What it's going to do is it's going to text me a code. So it just did. I'm going to put that in here. And the reason we do that is it verifies that I'm an active user, not putting a fake number in. And it only allows me to register one time. So I can't put in one number and register a bunch of accounts. It's tracking that. And then the part that you can do in here as well is um, this is custom for each building. This is an e-sign document if you want to use this, but in here, I can create a welcome document. Let's say I'm still the registry, I fill this out. Oh, this is my building. Here's my e-sign thing. And I have to actually e-sign this document. And I sign it and I can go through and create the custom document. And here is like, oh, here's our employee agreement. Sign it. Here is, you need to initial these policies and procedures, right? Your hand wash one, your fit testing. If you want to do it, you just boom, boom. And you can click this and actually see the policy if you want. So again, this is totally customizable to however you guys do your business. We help you set these up. This one is actually probably one of the longer ones I've seen. But what they're doing is they're making this nurse go through, click sign, and then when they hit finish, it's going to then text them because we have their cell phone number. It's going to text them their username and password to PCC, and it's going to email them a copy of the document they signed. And so you just created an account. Now, kind of to what you were saying about can anybody do it? There's a lot of things that you could do in here. So what I always tell people is if you're using registry account, have it set up so that it only leaves the account for 24 hours or 48 hours or whatever. And you're not, obviously, you don't give them remote, you give them the stripped down version of that account. And so there's all kinds of stuff like that you can do in that system. You only keep it to certain job codes, only see certain people can come in because it's password protected. Not anybody just walks up. This password can be unique for the building. It can be one you guys set up, resetting up users. There's a million ways to do it. It's made so that not anybody just walks up and creates accounts, but it also gives you that flexibility. So, Friday at 2 a.m. in the morning, someone can come up and create an account. And it's totally customizable for each of your buildings. And so that's some of the stuff that makes our UAP a little different. Also in here, let's go check out your password reset. Same idea. I'm a CNA and I forgot my PCC password. I go in here. This is a wall mounted kiosk or any kind of desktop because it's a website. It's locked down to my building. So I put in my username and then we ask them to verify something. Now, if we're doing payroll data, we can verify it with social or how maybe a lot of people now are moving to like verify your employee ID. They put that in, it resets their password. You can also do it if you're registry. So let's say the account was active for 24 hours and then it disables after 24 hours, but I come back 2 days later. I can go in here, find my username. Because I registered with my cell phone, it makes me confirm that. If it's wrong, it doesn't do anything. If it's right, it'll reset that password, let it go for another day or whatever you decide how you want to run that. So it keeps those two accounts separate. And that way it just resets the passwords for you. So there's a lot of little customizations like that make our UAP very different. We can walk through them and you can customize those as well. There's other things too, where you just, download a file, if you're trying to, let's say you're onboarding a bunch of buildings and you want to just throw a bunch of accounts in there, I can put an Excel file in here, it'll create accounts and stuff like that inside of here.
Colin?
So yeah.
What about multi-facility user? Does it create another user account for that facility, or does it add to an existing user account?
It depends on how you do that. Some customers have it so that if you're at building A, you have employee ID this, and building B has a different employee ID, in which case, when you send that payroll data, we're going to create 2 separate accounts. Some people have one, and then they give access either in their payroll system, and then we would get that data and have one username with multiple facility access. So it just
What
really
about
depends on how you. Say that one more time.
What about registry that goes to multiple facility? Like,
So
for
you can
example,
I think what he's saying is we have facilities that are fairly close together. So if I go and I work at Berkeley West today, and then in 2 weeks I get called over to Ocean Point, which is a block away, and I come in, do I have to create a new user at Ocean Point, or do I pull up my user that I used at Berkeley West? But I only had access to the residents at Berkeley West. So how would I get access to the residents at Ocean Point? And I think that's an internal question that I think we would make them register at each location and only get that facility's access. So they may have 4 or 5 logins, but they're individualized for each location, Angelo. That's the way I would suggest we do it.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah, however you guys do it, that's honestly, that's the best way to do it if you keep them separate, but you can make it so that it would reset and say, hey, you're at a new building. Do you want me to add that building? And it would do it. So you can do that as well, but keeping them separate actually is a little cleaner. Okay, so any questions on the UAP part? Now this makes stuff in real time. So like within a minute of you getting that data, people always ask me, how long does it take to create an account? It does it within a minute of it getting the data. So you put them in, let's say Kronos or whatever your system is, we get that data, we get it all the time. It's not the second they put it in, our system grabs that data. So within a minute of it being in Kronos, it comes into our system and that account goes out. There's notifications too. So when it creates an account, it's going to email out that password and username to someone in your building. So a lot of times you'll keep a distribution group, like a DSD distribution group or however you set it up. And then it says, hey, we just created this new account. Here's the username, here's the password. And that way they get it within a minute of it being created. And then we also have a once a day one. So let's say, you guys want, hey, every day at 8 p.m., send me a list of everything that was created just so I can be aware of what's going on. It'll do that as well. So that's the 2 notifications. And then obviously if you're registry, it texts you your username and password. So you'll have it right there.
Can you go back to the password reset page?
Yep.
Okay, so this is going to work for registry to reset theirs. Okay. Got it. Just want to make sure. I saw that earlier. I just wanted to see it again. Okay.
Yep. Okay, great. Any other questions on UAP?
What if they've forgotten their PCC username? Use my same example. I was at Berkeley West 2 weeks ago, and I can't remember now what my PCC username was because I've worked at 4 other facilities since then and had different PCCs. So I'm back to Berkeley West, but I don't remember it.
You could do a couple things. Now, each of these is custom for you. So what you could do is instead of picking your username for the registry one, just have them put their phone number in. And it would say, yeah, I have an account for you, and you could do that. It would text them a code, they verify the code, then it resets the password. So not anybody could just go up and, reset a bunch of them. It would have to verify. So you can do all kinds of stuff like that. That's a really great question. No one's ever asked that before. It's a great one.
That's why I get paid the big bucks.
Okay, I'm going to go through these other ones kind of quick because I know you guys, we have an hour, right? So I'm going to go kind of quick.
Can we start off with iRounds?
You betcha. Okay, iRounds. Let me get in here while this thing's spinning up real fast. What iRounds is in the next couple apps I'm going to show you, they're very similar. So we take data from PCC. Let me go in here and reset this one. We take data from PCC and we put it in a format for you that is unique for each app and then each building as well. And so what I mean is this app was built and it's mobile. So let's say I'm going to shrink it down a little bit. Let's see if that works. There you go. So it's meant to be like I am walking a building, doing rounds in real time at a building. And I'm going to put in a room number here. And then what it's going to do is it's going to pull up that resident. And then there's certain things that I've set up in my building that I'm looking for. And when I look right here, this is Joe Smith in bed A. These are active orders in PCC. So there's an order for side rails, a bed alarm, right? There's an IV order, enhanced barrier. And then there's other custom stuff I have in here. This was COVID back in the day. We were checking that. There's a pain. So if you're doing assessments, so anything in the chart, we can pull and put right into here. last pain assessment, put it on here. The DNR information, put on here. And what this is used for is as I'm walking around, this is on my phone or a tablet. It's web-based. So if I leave the building, it doesn't work. There's nothing I can save on it. So it's totally fine. I come in here. Let's say I'm in Joe Smith's building or room, sorry. And I see this order for side rails, but I don't see the side rails up and I want to make a note. And I'm going to go through and do all my rounds. And then I want to have a list of everything that I found. Well, I click that and I say, resident has the order, but it's not in use. And then I can put some notes in here, right? If I want to, or I leave it not or whatever you want to put in there. And I can hit update. What it's going to do is it's going to give me a red flag, meaning that that item has an active order, but it wasn't in use. And then at the end, it'll print out a list of everything I found when I was making my rounds. And you can do the opposite too. So let's say I was in here and I click this and I go, oh, that was weird. I noticed that they're using, a Foley, but there was no order. Well, I can click this and I can say resident has the item, but no order. And it would tell you when you're done, hey, make sure that that order gets put in. You can see right here. And then what's nice about our system is, go ahead. Okay. What's great about the system is you don't have to update this. So once that side rail order, or actually it'd be the Foley, once that order is done, it's going to flag that as being complete and then take it off the list. So you can see other things that's outstanding in here. I can go room by room. Let me just look at the next room and I just go, boom, here's my next room, 102. And I can just keep going through my facility and looking at all the orders or all the things that we can do, assessments, care plans, orders, you name it. We can pull from PCC and put it in here. And you can customize it for each building. So maybe this one building is different than the other ones. You're doing pre-survey, you're doing some stuff and you want to, monitor a couple other things a little more carefully. You check those boxes and they would show up in here, but at your other buildings, you're not. So it's very simple to do that. You can also go in here and let's say I want to walk let's say I'm in a building and I want to go in here and I would say, I want to make rounds for everybody on oxygen. Well, I click oxygen and here's all the people who have active orders in PCC for oxygen. I click this and I'll actually see the order information and I can go in there and I can see, right, Joe Smith, bed A, that's his 1 to 2 LPM. And I can see that order information as well. And so I can do that if I'm trying to do it by, whatever one, maybe psychotropics or whatever you want to make rounds for, you can do that in here as well. Isolation. Oh, I got this one on isolation and I can see the order and then I can make that round real fast. And so it's web-based, it's updated automatically. The whole goal of the system is that you don't put data in here other than your notes and that it's connected with PCC. So when that order is done, it'll update the system and keep it updated. You can create follow-ups if you want. So when I was putting an item in there, I could say, hey, I noticed this and I need to follow up on it. And it would actually flag that follow-up. So when I come back in the next time, did this get done? Did this get done? And so on. So you can do alerts by room and bed, or you can do them by room or by wing as well. So let's say you're walking down the hall and you notice in their station A or 1, there was, dirty laundry out in the hall or whatever it may be, you can make a note. It doesn't have to be specific to a bed and a resident. So you can do those as well. And then at the end, there's a button, there's another site we log into, we click a button and it just prints a PDF of everything you had in there. So if let's say you're exiting with an administrator, you could just hand them that. Here's some stuff I noticed, if you could, walk through those things with them as well. Again, totally customizable. Maybe you're not tracking, hearing aids, an example. We look through orders. So in this example, we had a customer who said, I'm going to create an order that says hearing aid. And when I have that, that means that resident has a hearing aid. So the problem they were having is the hearing aids kept going missing. And so now I can quickly go, oh, let me make rounds with everybody who's got a hearing aid. And then in here, I know this resident has it and I can check. That was happening a lot at one building where things were like dentures, actually, I think was what caused it. And so in that example, we can search orders for anything and then put them in here. You're not just limited to the order types in PCC. Any questions on that one?
No, but I'm going to have to watch the recording. I'm going to have to jump off for a 3 o'clock call. So
Okay. Well, thanks for joining. It's great chatting with you.
thank you. I'll watch the recording. So make it good. Bye.
Okay. So iRounds. The next two I'm going to show you are kind of similar. They're using similar data, but they're using it for a different reason. So I'm going to make this one bigger again. Special needs, right? We've all had special needs lists that we create in the building every day. Someone creates it, and it's only as updated. It's only as updated as that list, when they're created. So
Me if you
what
need
we-
anything, just in case nobody can
let
get
me
it.
see if I can- So what we've done here is we've created an automated special needs list, and let me see if I remember my password. Oh, that's not it. Oh, there it is. Okay, so special needs is similar. You create a building profile and you'd say, I want to check these things in the chart. I want to check side rails, hospice. I want to check therapy, any kind of order, any of those things. And this will create a list really fast. This is first floor by room. I can see all my residents and I can see the things real fast. And the idea for this one is if you walk into a nursing home and they have a wall mounted kiosk, a CNA can just go there, pick their nurse station, and then boom, it pulls out all of the orders that you have for that building or for that station. You can do it by room. I can go by need. So if I hit by need, it's going to resort it. So let's say I want to do rounds for, fall risk. Okay, great. Here's all my fall risks, and I can quickly make rounds. This one you can print. If you hit print, if you want to, you can turn that off. If you don't want to be able to print, it's updated automatically. So every hour it just grabs all the new information, puts it right in here. So you don't have to ever update this. And then you can create customizations like this facility they wanted code status. So boom, you hit that button and there's their code status for all of their, their stations there. So kind of similar to iRounds, it's just for a different purpose. This would be really built for someone walking around or a wall mounted kiosk for a CNA to grab and, something like that. And they could quickly go in here and get that information. It's a different rule set than your iRounds. So if your iRounds is checking fall risk, but you don't want special needs to, they're different rule sets, but we can make them sync together. So you don't have to spend a lot of time setting them all up. Daily huddle is kind of similar. Daily huddle is when you do a beginning of shift huddle. So let's say you're, pre-shift or beginning of shift huddle, everybody gets together. This would be a list that someone's put together with my recent falls for my nurse station, my, example, we can pull pressure source, any assessment we can pull. This one's a little more custom. They have call lights that came in here, a little tougher to do, but if it's something we can get access to, we'll put it in here. If you have new dialysis or WaterGuard orders or G tubes, whatever, new admissions, so they could quickly go, hey, we got a new admission, room 116A, and you'd quickly be able to do it. You don't update this system at all. This is done automatically. And then we can do custom stuff in here too. Like you see this appointments one, we can search orders for certain words. And what I mean is in this example, let's see here, there's a certain thing they're putting in here. It's probably the word appointment. If you put appointment, it's going to grab that, consider it an appointment and put it right in here. And so really quickly I can go, oh, here's some upcoming appointments. I have a podiatry appointment for this resident today. So I got him, oh, it's on the 17th. So I can go in, I can change the date for the 17th. And then I know that we're ready on the 17th to have that resident ready. Maybe you got to pack a lunch or whatever you got to do to get that resident ready to go. And so it's just an example of what you can do based on even just creating custom orders, right? And they're not just locked down to whatever order types are in there. We can actually even search keywords. So I know these guys were using D/C right here for discharges. So every time they put that order in there for an upcoming discharge, and they can quickly see who's discharging. They'll usually put a date and we'll grab the date and put it right in here. This one doesn't have a date, but there's some custom stuff you could do. And what's really nice is beginning of shift, you don't have to do anything. You just pop this up. Okay, team, here's all the changes. Here's the recent falls. Here's whatever assessments I'm looking at. And then I can just move on and I don't need to update this at all. So kind of similar to the special needs, but very specific to your daily huddle with admissions and discharges and stuff like that. Any questions on that one? Okay. Boom, that's that one. And then I'm going to show you this one. This is iAudit. iAudit's one of my favorite ones. I really like this one because what iAudit does is iAudit will take your chart and it will audit it. So let's go in here. I can create, let me just log in and I will show you. That is not my password. You can create an audit in here. So let's say you have a certain number of things you want in the chart by 24 hours of them being admitted. I'll come back to this page. I'll show you what kind of end on that one. I can come in here and create an audit. And so I'm just going to go into one of them and then I'll come back here. This would be, let's say, a 24-hour audit. I want to make sure there's a diagnosis in there. There's allergies in the chart. There's a pharmacy added. You know, contacts are in there. These are the assessments I want done within 24 hours. Care plans. And this is all customized. So you can do this. This is based on time as well. So I can have a 24-hour one. I can have a 72-hour one, maybe with different items. These are the items for 72 hours. And what you'll see is in this example, here's my resident, here's this is obviously an older one. This is the note that was put in diagnosis. I know it was done because there's an item value here. It's mandatory, meaning it has to be done or that audit is non-compliant. And I can scroll down, I can quickly see where they need to finish it. So it looks to me like vital signs isn't done. That's why this audit is outstanding. They need to get that vital in there. And then boom, this audit would fall off the list. What's really nice about this one is you don't update this system at all. You update PointClickCare. So you would go into PCC, you would put in the vital signs, and then this audit would be complete and it would disappear from my dashboard of audits that were still pending, right? And so this system does it automatically and you can make as many audits as you want. I have a lot of different test ones in here. So 7 days, I want to make sure these things are done, right? This is a little non-compliant because they're missing, your nutrition care plan, your care plan, your PASR and stuff like that. And then what's nice too is you can come in here really quickly and I can see how a building's doing. I have 103 audits. This is a demo data. So if you saw 3% compliant, you might be a little more nervous, but just know this is fake data. If you see a certain thing, we're really good at, getting their physician orders, but for some reason, the vital signs we're really bad at. And it helps so you can you can walk through the building and say, hey guys, we got to get better at our, getting our vital signs in PCC really fast. And then as soon as they put them in PCC, updates this system, and then these audits would fall off this pending list. You can do it for any item in PCC. You can create them for clinical items, billing items, whatever you want to do. As long as it's in PCC, we can grab it and create an audit for you. And then this system just goes in the background and lets you know what stuff's missing and where you are with your charts automatically. That first screen we saw, let me see if I can get back to it here, is like a roll up of your whole facility. So in here, I have just a quick roll up of, let me see if I can zoom in. These are all my 24-hour audits, my buildings, when the last time they logged in, how compliant they are, 72 hours, right? These are the 4 audits I have. Shows you who's logging in, who's using it. Really gives you kind of a quick way to just jump in and see how your buildings, if you're in charge of several buildings or you want to see all of the company, you can do that as well from here. There's also features in here.
I have a quick question. Will
Sure.
this pull from the Documents tab also?
So
So for example, let's say my physician is not signing electronically and I have a wet signature and I upload the orders and I label it appropriately, correctly. I can audit that also? Can I pull it from there?
So it's a yes and a no, and I'll explain. If you're using our scan app, we can do that. If you're not, we can't. And the main reason is PCC doesn't allow us to go get documents from a chart and pull them out to audit them. But we can if you're using our app because it would pass through our system and then it marks off in here. And so let me see if I can find you some. We do that in a lot of them. Oh, here you go. So this is a great example in the miscellaneous documents tab. They want to make sure a document is uploaded in the category of inventory. Here's the last one. Consent to treat was uploaded. But you have to be using the Scan 2 app because that's a limitation of PCC. And in talking with them, because I talk with them all the time, they're never going to have the ability to do that outside of using an app like Scan to PCC to push that document through. They're never going to give us developers access to grab documents from the chart. And so that's why we utilize those two in combination. And then you can do that. And it works fantastic. You get really specific with your category, arbitration agreement signed, and then they put that in there and it does that. So one other thing I forgot to mention with Scan to PCC is we do integrate with DocuSign. So if you guys are using DocuSign for any of your documents, you can create a document, either you can start it from Scan to PCC or you can start it from DocuSign. And when you finish that document, it'll automatically flow through to Scan to PCC to upload to the chart, and it'll show up in here as well if you have that item. So all three of those, Scan to PCC, DocuSign, and iAudit are linked together and would share that document as it goes through the whole sign, download into the chart, into iAudit. It's an automatic process.
We do have a DocuSign account, but it's not utilized everywhere.
Cool. Yeah, that's what's really nice about DocuSign. So a lot of people are using Document Manager and PCC for, say, their admission agreements, and it's great. No problems with it. I like it. But DocuSign it's a little cheaper. I think it's a little more of the standard out there today. If you're using it, I have a lot of customers who are saying, hey, we use Document Manager. We want to move over to DocuSign. And I say, okay, great. And I can send you a video, but from inside of our Scan app, there's a little tab right here that says DocuSign. And then inside of there, you click the button, you pick your document. So maybe it's a admission agreement, and then you pick, well, it would be admission agreement, and you can either add a resident or pick the resident. It'll fill the form out for you so you don't have to, and everything we have data for, and then they sign it. Then it goes right into Scan to PCC. So the DocuSign one is really slick. And you can have as many documents as you want. There's no charge for it. It's just an integration we put in there. And we're happy to help you if you've got questions on it. And I'll send you guys a video of that one. That one's really neat. I like that one a lot. So did that answer your question?
I have one more question. Can I create different audits in iAudit?
You can create as many as you want. You go in here and you can create as many as you want under settings. What we typically do, just to make it easy, you can call us and say, hey, Colin, here's my Excel form of the stuff we want, and we can put it in there for you. We don't charge for that. A lot of times that's easier, but you can go in here and create your own. It is a little complex because there might be 4 different diagnoses that you can choose from, but they might do different things. And so we typically just set them up for people, but you can have 50, 60, 70, you can have as many as you want. There's no limit to how many audits you can have in there. And you can make them time-based. What?
Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you make them time-based. So the beauty of them being time-based is, let's say it's a 24-hour one. There's also a grace period. So your resident comes in on a Monday, they're 24-hour. Technically, everything would be due, 24 hours from their admit time, but maybe you give them 2 days grace to get the document in the system. And then on that, what will be the 3rd day, it would show as incomplete, or you make your grace period 0 and it's due exactly at 24 hours. So there's options like that are time. If there's other documents or audits that you have that you don't want time based, you just put the time as like 1,000,000 days or something, and then it's never time based. So that's a way you can do that as well. So sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, whoever that was, had that question there.
That's okay, Colin. This is Gina. So are these available through apps on a a tablet or a phone?
So everything we build is web-based. Everything we do is HTML5, meaning I can go in and I'm going to shrink this one down. So as I do this, it's going to show you what it looks like on a phone, right? So there's a tablet. This is a tablet. It starts shrinking it down. It'll work on a desktop, a tablet, whatever. So whatever device you're using, the system configures for that. They're web-based. They are locked down to your building. So if I'm outside of my building trying to use, and I have it on there's a link on my desktop, I open it up, then or on my laptop, and then I go home and try it, it's not going to work. And so you can set up security like that. But yeah, it's built to be uh, web-based that'll work with any device. Now, some of them formatting is kind of funny, right? So if you're doing, say, scan to PCC, it's not real fun to do on a mobile phone because the document's really small. So you could, but you might not. But all of ours are meant to be on any kind of device. So if you're walking around doing eye rounds, it's going to look really good on a mobile, but it's the same website you use when you're on your desktop or your tablet or your laptop or whatever it may be.
But the security can be set up for a corporate user to use it outside of the facility, right?
Correct. Yeah, there is remote access. Again, you guys set that up when you're creating a user. There's just a little button that says remote. If you're doing remote, it is going to text you a code or use like a Duo or Authenticator, one of those authentication apps to make sure it's you, and then it will work. And then you can set it up too as however you want. So you might say, hey, we don't want anybody ever using iAudit remotely, but I want to get into Scan to PCC remotely. And so each user is unique to the app. So you can do that as well.
Oh, good. And then for the corporate roll-up reports or even the facility roll-up reports for the iAudit,
Mhm.
if something missing documentation was completed and it was past the compliance date, or if not past the compliance date, either or, will it capture that? Meaning, such as we're trying to just do a root cause analysis or trending of what is usually missed, even though it was already completed. Is there like a report that would filter to that level?
So if I'm understanding it correctly, you're saying a document, or let's say whatever, I'm just gonna say a document. A document is due within 24 hours. They get it in 48, but you want to know that it was late.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have that report yet, but that's definitely something we're working on. We have had that asked. We do track that already, so it's already in there. We just don't have the report yet. So we do track the time because we do everything with what we call the grace period, which is if it's due in one day, but you give them an extra day to get it in there, we track all that. So everything is time stamped. We know the second it's put in, we know the second it's late, and you can then turn on notifications where every day, hey, show me everything that's late, which kind of gets a little it's a lot. But we want to create that instead of it being an emailed report daily, one where you just come in here under reports and it shows you, so you're not getting bombarded with emails. But we do track that, yes. So you'll see that in the next probably 30 days in here somewhere. I see it on the board. Someone recently
Oh.
requested that.
Yeah, that's good. So we can develop educational programs targeted to maybe only that specific facility or maybe region or maybe corporate wide.
Yeah, what'll probably happen is as that comes out, they'll roll it out pretty soon. And then um, one of the things that's really important to me is that all of these things are built, like we've spent a tremendous amount of time in nursing homes. That's we all came from nursing homes. We all spend a ton of time, everybody at our company does. And so all of these are built from feedback from our customers or from us being in the nursing home. You're going to put in a request, hey, Colin, I'd like it to do that. We're going to turn it around and do it. One of the things that's important to me is those kind of black holes where you have a software and it says, hey, give us the feature suggestion. I mean, even PCC, unfortunately, is like that because they're pretty big. Um, we don't do that. You put in a request, I'd like it to do this. Someone will respond the same day and they'll let you know when it's going to be in there. So everything that's constantly evolving, like that report I was just saying, someone just asked for that recently, versus the email. We had it just doing emails before. So any suggestions you have, you'll just constantly see updates on all the apps.
Well, I lied then. I have one more question because what you just said made me want to ask you. And I had asked David when he was with us last time, do you have something regarding PDPM predictor or analytics on the pike?
That's a tough one. I've had people ask. We have a couple other apps we're building right now. A quick discharge one. So like a 911 discharge, you hit a button and it grabs all the documents for your discharge that you need. We're building
Oh,
that
that's
one
cool.
now. Yeah, that one's really going to be nice. And then
Yeah.
we're doing a really heavy AI triple check one. So those two are all, that's the big process right now that they're building. But I know the PDPM, I know there's ones out there with people doing. We typically wait a little bit to see how everybody builds their products, if it works. If it's great, that's awesome. And then if it's not, because like I said, we all come from building, so we know you can tell really quickly when someone who works in the building builds software and someone who doesn't build software. And so that's where we would come in. I couldn't tell you if that's coming right now, but if it's something where you'd say, hey, we really want this, this is what we wanted to do, I'd love to have that conversation with you.
Sure. Yeah. Us too. I'm trialing one right now in a building. So I just wanted, maybe we could touch base and let you know if it's something you guys can do. And if, we go with you, maybe, since we're already going with some of these apps, maybe in the near future, that'd be something we could work with you.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. It's kind of funny, and just kind of off topic, but all of these come from like I was saying, from our building. So we have built, like, let's say we do that app with you, we will build it with you as you're using it. And so it really makes it fun because then you get it the way you want it. And it helps us a lot as well to make sure it's not only just a product, but one that's really usable and works. So that's how we always build our stuff.
Right. Thank you.
Those are great questions. Those are fun. Okay, I went through a lot. Any more questions or anything else you guys want to see?
Going back to UAP, obviously it does a lot, but what one of the things that I talked to David about is it's making sure that things don't fall through the cracks and knowing clearly what the system can't do and what it can do. So in working with other clients, what do they still have to do manually as far as user administration?
Uh, Technically nothing, but what I always tell them to do here, like me as an operator, here's what I would say. I don't have the UAP create my high level folks. I get a regional person. I'm probably still going to create that one because there's some uniqueness in there. And
Okay, so
so
so primarily it's going to be just used for CNAs, RNAs, and LVNs, or can you use it for therapists? Can you use it for RNs? Can
I
you
would definitely use it for all of them. The only ones I
okay?
wouldn't would be, let's
The
say you
pump.
get a new IT person and you don't want it to because they're kind of custom, or you
Oh,
have a regional person and those are kind of custom a little bit depending on what they're doing.
okay.
And
So
you
you're
you
you're
just
not
want to be able
saying
to,
like department heads. You're saying more at a corporate level.
it's always the one for me when I was the CIO, like I didn't want a new regional person to come in and have their account not be exactly what they needed. I wanted it to be right. And the UAP will do it, but a lot of times a regional person might have different access because they're doing a couple different things. And I like it to be exact. So you could have it do that. Um, I would manually do those ones, but it's only those very few a year high level, those ones. Other than that, I let it do everything else. Let it do your terms, let it do your changes, your ads, your edits, all of that stuff. And then what's nice about it is you can set it up. So let's say you have a regional person and you have the system make it, and you make a change in PCC because you needed to add an additional group. You can set it up in there where the change you make in PCC is higher than the change the UAP makes. So we won't remove it, right? Because the system is going to check every couple minutes. Hey, I'm looking at Stan's account and he's supposed to have these 3 groups, but he's got 4. I'm going to remove one. You could set it up to do that, or you can set it up to say, no. If I do something manually in PCC, that's what I want to stay. And so that's kind of nice too.
Okay.
The other thing that someone recently did is they created temporary access. This is kind of fun for survey. You hit a button, it would spin up 3 or 4 survey accounts that are locked down to your building, or they have remote or whatever, and they disable them every night at 5, and then they create them for a certain amount of time. So there's little things like that you can do that are really fun inside of there that make it pretty custom. And I can walk you through all those, but it does
Okay.
some really unique stuff.
Okay. Great.
All right. You guys had some great questions. That was fun.
Yeah, thank you everybody for jumping on. I know it's kind of a time-consuming process to run through all of them, but obviously we're very confident that these tools are going to be super impactful for you and the team. And I will follow up and send out this recording. I know we had to have somebody jump off early, and if there's any questions, you can kind of fast forward to each individual application and rewatch those. But I'll stay tight to Angelo on all of this, and if there's any additional questions you guys have that arise in the next few days, weeks, as we kind of roll this stuff out for you guys, we're happy to jump on with you, one-on-one or in a group, and just kind of sort things out. So thank you all for jumping on. Like I said, I'll be following up, and hopefully we can get this stuff moving for you guys pretty soon.
Okay. Sounds good.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you,
Thanks,
everybody.
everybody.
Thank
Thanks, Colin.
you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thanks, guys.